Cathie Wood might have gotten it right. She has been talking about inflation being deflationary, at least inflation going away and deflation coming, pretty much for the past 6 months. And she says within the next 6 months of 2023, the first 6 months, we are going to see consequentially sequential deflation. Now, is this actually going to happen? That's what we're going to be analyzing today. We have some breaking news out of Germany, and this is news that is starting to prove the thesis. And I think, if she ends up getting it right, then this would be one of the key factors for why she ended up getting it right. Let's take it in right there. Let's take a look at what we've got. Here we go. If you're looking at this picture, well, this picture really matters. Germany PPI month over month, it came in at negative 4.2%. Now, PPI and CPI are a little bit different. CPI is consumer price index, PPI is producer price index, but the PPI is a good indication into the CPI. Why is this the case? Because if the producer price index is coming in down, that means the cost that producers are paying for something. So if I need to make a water bottle and the raw materials that it costs for me to actually make that water bottle are going down 4.2% month over month, that means eventually the cost of that water bottle to the consumer will also go down, because I'm not going to charge the consumer this excess amount for a water bottle, because then they're not going to buy it. And also, I want to remain competitive. If my competitor that's selling a water bottle is cheaper than me, and I don't need to have mine as expensive as it is because I don't need to make that much of a margin for me to still make a decent profit, then I reduce my prices. This is the nature of capitalism and the nature of competition and the nature of supply and demand. Germany PPI coming in low, negative 4.2% month over month. Germany is a very, very big economy. I mean, auto manufacturing, most of it in the world happens in Germany, outside of China, obviously. That's a very, very big deal. So let's go to this article right here. So hopes grow for inflation relief as Germany producer prices fall. We have here Germany producer price posted their first monthly fall in 2.5 years in October, according to data released on Monday. Producer prices of industrial products fell 4.2% on the month, due primarily to dips in prices for electricity and distributed natural gas. Analysts polled had a forecast of a rise of 0.9%. So analysts actually thought it would go up by 0.9%. And it ended up going down by 4.2%, which is not bad. Now, the problem here is underlying inflation, now around 5%, has shown little signs of easing, and detailed October data released last week showed a broad and mounting price pressure. A lot of this has to do with the fact that Germany is in Europe. And because Germany is in Europe, you have the Ukraine-Russia war going on, energy prices, gas prices, the prices of raw materials, a lot of those that were actually built in Ukraine and then transferred to Germany to be able to be implemented into a lot of their manufacturing services, has obviously gone to crap. And we are going to see what is going to happen over the next couple months, and if there's a resolution to the war that's going on. It's even crazy that, the war is still going on. People even forget that there's a whole entire geopolitical crisis that is happening right now with rising inflation. But PPI coming down at least shows some signs of help. Now, there are some contrarian perspectives here. Danske Bank economist Pete Haynes said the underlying inflation pressure, using whichever metric you want to look at it, does not show signs of stabilization, so there's nothing for the doves in this reading. Commerzbank's Raf Slovene said the figures give us cause for hope that the inflation rate for consumer prices will also soon reach its peak. However, that does not mean that the inflation problem is over. A survey conducted by the Info Economic Institute showed that many German businesses were not through with passing on their soaring costs to customers. And obviously, if the PPI starts to go down, hopefully those prices to customers can start to go down as well, which would be important. It found that companies had passed on just a 34% of their purchase price increases over the past few months. They plan to raise this to 50%. That means if you're paying more for your products, you will raise your products by 50% to be able to cover the costs of the things that you're buying onto the end consumer. The German government is planning to introduce a gas and electricity price breaks from early next year to curb inflation, which expects to reach 8% this year and 7% in 2023. Compared with October 2021, PPI for industrial products rose 34.5% last month, signaling some relief after maintaining a record pace in August and September of 45.8%. So obviously, given last year's dynamics in 2021, the PPI was going up really, really bad. And the fact that it's actually starting to come down, even though it's still not amazing, is not the worst thing in the world when we think about PPI. Let me just zoom in a little bit there. There we go. Okay. Now, one thing to understand about this thesis that Cathie is talking about here is the deflationary effects from technology should have an impact on something like the PPI. Now, what do we mean by that? Here's a good example to kind of contextualize why PPI going down and the intersection of Cathie's AI sort of deflation thesis makes sense. If as a producer, you make, I don't know, let's call it stream decks, which are these little things that you click on and then I can shift from here to here, right? Super cool. There's a bunch of raw materials that go into like making the buttons and all this stuff. If I have a factory that has more intense robotics and it's powered by AI, those are two intersecting forms of tenants that work with each other to be able to create something. AI and robotics working together to make sure that the thing that I use to create my stream decks, which are a bunch of raw materials, human labor, maybe all that gets automated, and then boom, you've got something that costs you $7 to make, now costing you $4 to make, because of the advent of technology. That is where we get a deflationary effect, because now you have these revolutionary types of technologies. AI wasn't a thing 100 years ago, right? Computers weren't a thing 100 years ago. So now you have computers. Now you have supersonic computers. Now you have computers that can think for themselves. Now you have things that can think above thinking for themselves. And that interplays in terms of all the dynamics we have as humans on this planet. If you use canva.com, that's basically a search engine for photos. You type in one thing, it makes a trillion different versions of the thing that you typed in. Like, this technology is insane right now. And one of the greatest wealth movements in history might happen as a result of people that are able to capitalize on this technology. If that can be utilized in different verticals, in factories and manufacturing, at the intersection of robotics, for example, to reduce the price that it takes, the cost that it takes, the PPI to build something, consumers are going to get less prices. And if things are going to go down, which means consumers are going to have to pay less prices. If consumers have to pay less prices because things don't cost as much as they used to because of these deflationary technologies reducing the cost, then that means we're going to have a period of deflation. That is the Cathie Wood bull case in a nutshell. Now, obviously, there's more to how AI would deflate costs, but that's a simple example. And that's one form of technology that she believes is going to be able to be deflationary. The underlying question is, does this happen in the next 6 months? Her argument is inflation will go down sequentially month over month over the next 6 months, and we will enter into a period of deflation. She said this back in September. This was September 28th. I remember the exact day she said this because I was doing a video that day, and that's her argument. Her argument is like, this is going to happen. Well, Cathie, if that's your argument, and your argument is like, this is going to happen, I mean, we've got to see it happen. We've got to see inflation come down. The PPI going down in Germany is a great first step, and there's a lot more that has to happen before Germany gets out of the blue. There's a lot more CPI data that has to come out in the United States before we get out of the blue. But either 2023 is going to be a Michael Burry year where everything goes to crap, or it's going to be a Cathie Wood year where there's a massive rebound because the markets are forward-looking and because inflation goes down and the potential of deflation comes in and the Fed starts becoming more dovish. Boom, you've got a recipe for ARK innovation, which is down close to 70-80% over the year, to have a rally and to have a rebound, and for Zoom and Roku and Coinbase and all these stocks, and Bitcoin, obviously, when the NASDAQ goes up, we're going to see Bitcoin go up, have the ability to rebound. Ultimately, we're going to see what happens, but it is all contingent upon CPI data. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if this is good news in the context of Germany's PPI going down and if this proves Cathie Wood's thesis, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.